For decades, the fitness industry has debated whether a natural lifter can truly compete against someone using steroids. To settle the debate, we set up an experiment. Brandon, a natural lifter, will train using science-backed strategies, while Todd, an aspiring bodybuilder, will use steroids for 100 days. Throughout the process, we'll track their progress using Dexa scans to measure fat and muscle mass, as well as ultrasounds to determine exactly where their muscles grow the most. This will allow us to collect precise data and compare both individuals' results side by side. The goal is to see just how much of an advantage steroids provide and whether a dedicated natural lifter can close the gap. At the start, Todd weighed in at 183 pounds with 19% body fat, while Brandon was much lighter at 148 pounds, but leaner with 13.6 body fat. From the outset, Brandon had two key advantages. His lower body fat made it easier to gain muscle mass without unnecessary fat accumulation, and his lifting experience, while not as serious as Todd's, meant that he had more room for rapid improvement. In a typical setting, Todd, as a more advanced lifter, would experience muscle growth 3 times slower than Brandon. However, these aren't normal circumstances. With the help of scientific training principles, we aim to push Brandon's performance to its absolute limits, maximizing muscle growth without steroids. One of the biggest challenges for a natural lifter is maximizing muscle growth efficiently. To give Brandon the best possible advantage, we focused on selecting exercises that put his muscles under maximum tension in the stretched position. A study from 2022 compared standard triceps pushdowns with overhead triceps extensions and found that the overhead variation increased triceps growth by 1.4 times. This principle applies to all muscle groups. So for Brandon, we carefully selected movements that forced his muscles to work harder in the stretched phase. Controlling the descent in each lift and fully elongating the muscle fibers allowed for greater growth potential. For instance, rather than performing standard curls, Brandon performed incline dumbbell curls, which stretched the biceps further. Instead of typical leg presses, he focused on deep squats to fully engage his quadriceps. By strategically choosing exercises that challenged his muscles in this way, we aimed to ensure that he achieved maximum gains despite being natural. The power of training to failure. Exercise selection alone wouldn't be enough to compete with someone on steroids. We needed to push Brandon beyond his perceived limits. Research has shown that every rep closer to failure leads to greater muscle activation, meaning the more effort put into each set, the greater the potential for growth. In most cases, lifters stop their sets when they feel fatigued, but that's often before their muscles have reached true failure. To counter this, we trained Brandon to push beyond his comfort zone using techniques like forced reps, partial reps, and mechanical drop sets. When Brandon thought he couldn't do another rep, we had him perform half reps and then quarter reps, ensuring he completely exhausted his muscles. This type of training is grueling, but it's one of the most effective ways to stimulate maximum muscle growth naturally. Brandon quickly realized how painful and difficult this method was, as he was forced to do 5 or 6 more reps than he would normally perform. With every session, he was learning that true muscle failure was far beyond where he thought it was. How steroids alter muscle growth and recovery. While Brandon was pushing himself to the brink in every session, Todd was experiencing a completely different reality. Once steroids enter the body, they bind to androgen receptors within muscle cells, drastically increasing protein synthesis and recovery rates. This means that every workout Todd did resulted in more muscle growth than Brandon's, simply because his body had the chemical advantage. Additionally, his ability to train longer and harder without overtraining meant he could squeeze more volume into each session. Before steroids, Todd would typically train for 1 hour per session, but after starting his cycle, he was able to train for up to 2 hours at high intensity. This is one of the key benefits of steroids-enhanced recovery. Allows lifters to do significantly more work without experiencing excessive fatigue. While Brandon was forced to manage his volume carefully to avoid burnout, Todd could push himself harder and still recover faster. This was the reality of the competition. Brandon was fighting an uphill battle against a scientifically proven advantage. Tracking the first 30 days, the power of steroids versus hard work. After just 30 days, the results were already staggering. Todd's shoulders had increased by 2 km in circumference, a significant muscle gain in such a short period. Meanwhile, Brandon had experienced a similar 2 km growth, which was an impressive feat considering his natural status. However, Todd was still dissatisfied with his physique. He struggled with body dysmorphia, feeling that he was both too small and too fat at the same time. This is a common psychological effect among steroid users. They often feel they aren't big enough despite making rapid rapid gains. On the other hand, Brandon was seeing progress, but still had a long way to go. To maximize his potential, we needed to optimize his nutrition and caloric intake to ensure he was gaining as much muscle as possible without excessive fat accumulation. The importance of nutrition and supplementation. Brandon's diet played a crucial role in his ability to build muscle. While Todd had the advantage of enhanced protein synthesis, Brandon had to rely solely on his diet and training. Initially, we set his daily intake at 3,000 calories, but due to his active lifestyle playing competitive tennis for several hours a week, he was struggling to put on weight. As a result, we had to increase his intake even further. To support muscle growth, we also introduced creatine, one of the few scientifically backed supplements proven to enhance performance. Research suggests that creatine can provide a 1 to 2 lb boost in muscle mass over a 100-day period. While this may seem minor, in a natural setting where every ounce of muscle counts, it was a valuable addition. With his adjusted calorie intake and supplementation, Brandon finally started making progress on the scale, which was critical for keeping up with Todd's steroids-fueled transformation. The unexpected setback, Todd's disappearance. Just as the experiment was heating up, we encountered a major roadblock. Todd informed us that he was moving out of the city. While he was still committed to finishing the 100-day challenge, he would no longer be training at the same gym or attending check-ins. This meant that Brandon and I had no way of tracking Todd's progress until the final day. The uncertainty added a new level of challenge to the experiment. Brandon and I had to push even harder, focusing on maximizing his training intensity to ensure he had the best possible results at the end of the challenge. With the final stretch ahead, we intensified Brandon's training, implementing advanced lifting techniques like rest-pause sets and isometric holds to further push his muscles to the limit. The final results. Did a natural lifter stand a chance? After 100 days, it was time to see the final results. Brandon had started the experiment at 148 lbs with 13.6 body fat. By the end, he had gained a few pounds of muscle while maintaining the same body fat percentage. His strength had significantly improved. His dumbbell bench press had increased from 50 lbs to 75 lbs for sets of 10, and his overall physique had become noticeably more muscular. However, the true test was seeing how Todd had progressed in comparison. When Todd finally revealed his results, it was clear that steroids had given him a massive advantage. Not only had he gained significantly more muscle, but he had also maintained his size while cutting down for his bodybuilding competition. Despite Brandon's incredible dedication and progress, Todd's transformation was simply on another level. The psychological toll of steroid use. While steroids undoubtedly provide a massive physical advantage, they also come with serious psychological effects that often go unnoticed. Many people assume that taking steroids simply makes muscle growth easier, but what they don't realize is the mental toll that comes with it. One of the most common side effects is body dysmorphia. Many users develop an unhealthy obsession with their physique, never feeling big enough no matter how much muscle they gain. This was something Todd struggled with during the experiment. Even as he gained significant muscle mass and leaned out for his bodybuilding competition, he constantly felt dissatisfied with his progress. He would compare himself to professional bodybuilders and question whether he was even making enough gains. Steroid use can also lead to heightened aggression, commonly referred to as roid rage. While Todd didn't exhibit extreme mood swings, he admitted to feeling more irritable and anxious as the cycle progressed. This is due to how steroids affect brain chemistry, increasing dopamine and serotonin levels, but also disrupting normal hormonal balance. Long-term use can even lead to depression once a user stops taking them, as their natural testosterone production is suppressed. This is why many bodybuilders find it hard to quit. They become dependent on steroids not just for muscle growth, but also for their sense of self-worth. On the other hand, Brandon, the natural lifter, experienced the mental benefits of training without substances. While his gains were slower, he was able to appreciate his progress without external pressure. He didn't have to worry about post-cycle crashes, hormone imbalances, or body image issues caused by unrealistic expectations. This contrast between natural training and steroid use highlights an important truth. While steroids can give you an edge physically, they can also create mental and emotional struggles that many people aren't prepared for. The longevity factor. Can natural lifters stay stronger for longer? One of the biggest downsides of steroids is their long-term impact on the body. While they provide rapid muscle growth, they also accelerate aging in ways that many users don't consider. Studies have shown that prolonged steroid use can lead to increased risks of heart disease, liver damage, and even kidney failure. This is because because steroids artificially enhance muscle growth without strengthening connective tissues at the same rate, leading to a higher risk of injuries. Many professional bodybuilders who have relied on steroids throughout their careers suffer from chronic joint pain, muscle tears, and other debilitating issues as they age. Natural lifters, on the other hand, may progress more slowly, but they tend to maintain their strength and muscle mass for much longer, without the stress of hormonal imbalances or excessive strain on their organs. They can continue training well into their later years. Brandon, for example, was able to improve his strength steadily without experiencing major setbacks. Unlike steroid users who often peak early and then struggle with health complications, natural lifters have the advantage of sustainability. Another key factor is testosterone production. When someone takes steroids, their body stops producing testosterone naturally, leading to long-term hormonal issues. This is why many steroid users have to undergo post-cycle therapy, PSTET, to try and restore normal hormone levels. Unfortunately, for some, the damage is irreversible. Many former steroid users end up with permanently low testosterone, requiring hormone replacement therapy just to feel normal. Natural lifters never have to worry about this. They can build muscle at their own pace and maintain their gains without external substances. In the end, while steroids provide short-term advantages, they also come with long-term costs. Natural training may take more time, but it offers the best chance for lasting strength, health, and overall well-being. The real question isn't just about who can gain muscle faster. It's about who can stay strong for life. The verdict: are steroids unbeatable? In the end, this experiment confirmed what science has long suggested: steroids provide an undeniable advantage. Todd's ability to recover faster, train longer, and build muscle at an accelerated rate made it impossible for Brandon to truly compete. However, Brandon's progress was still impressive. He gained muscle naturally, improved his strength, and proved that with the right training and nutrition, a natural lifter can achieve an incredible physique without performance-enhancing drugs. While steroids may offer a shortcut, they also come with risks both physical and psychological. The key takeaway: a natural lifter may never outpace a steroid user, but with smart training and discipline, they can still achieve amazing results.